the outdooring of Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang. The question is this really necessary, Evans?
Well, Nana Opoku Agyemang is not new. Mm-hmm. This is somebody we know. She was in that race in 2020. So really, if you look at it, what's new is a key question.
Exactly.
What's new? There isn't anything new. First of all, the candidate himself is not new. The running mate isn't new. So you're wondering, what's the real value of the outdooring, exactly, the official outdooring? Considering that a statement has already been issued a few weeks back that told us that she has been retained. The controversies have surrounding that, we've discussed it quite well. The only thing I see is, obviously, the party wants to create a buzz around her. Mm-hmm. So then you hold that event that, begin then to reintroduce her into the conversation. That's the only advantage I see with this. Maybe excite the base a bit, hear her speak about what she wants to do. But even there, mm-hmm, she is the running mate. It is only about John Mahama.
Right.
She has no vision other than John Mahama's vision. Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious what she's going to be saying as to she can assist John Mahama deliver on his vision. She cannot articulate a vision that is separate from John Mahama's vision.
And yet we are told that she will be delivering a vision of her own today.
That for me, I'm curious to see what that vision is. Because again, you are setting her up for us to now begin to ask the questions about what she's saying. Is it completely in sync, mm-hmm, with the man whose face is going to be on the ballot? So if you ask me today, is it really necessary? For me, where I sit, I don't see the value, but the party obviously sees the value, and the value possibly could be introduce her name into the conversation, create some buzz around it so we can talk about it, then galvanize the base. So the people who are going to be in the room will be people invited from the party, rank and file, who can come and bask in the activity and the ceremony of the day, the pomp and pageantry. She is going to be in the headlines, obviously, tonight and going into tomorrow. Or the opposition party will be drawn in so they can have their say. So in the next 3 days, we'll be talking about Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang, what she said. Mm-hmm. That is the value of bringing her in. But if you look at the fact that she's not new, you say, well, maybe this is not really necessary. But for the party, it's a talkability.
Let's go back to the UPSA campus. Kwaku Asante, is the place set and ready for this outdooring ceremony?
Yes, in fact, this place is jam-packed, like I was telling you earlier on. There are so many dignitaries who have come in here at the UPSA auditorium for this event to outdoor the running mate to John Dramani Mahama for the 2024 election. I can just report that Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang just came in about a minute ago in a long convoy. The traffic was jam-packed. She had to spend so much time at that particular place just in front of the campus to be able to access. And in fact, there are still a number of NDC supporters who are stuck here at the entrance who are unable to enter because of the numbers of people who are already here because of this event. There are so many people here for this outdooring event. The former president himself, John Dramani Mahama, is yet to arrive. A number of members of parliament are coming in droves, and I'm trying to get a number of them to try and see if they can get a word with some of these MPs. Honorable, if I can get a brief word on you on Joy News while we are live briefly. I mean, this is momentous. The NDC is sending in the second time a female candidate, and you are a female MP. Those of you in Parliament have made the case for why you think this is really important. How do you feel today?
I'm so excited, and I don't know how to express it, because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has honored us as women. He took her to the polls in 2020, and he has decided again to choose Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang as his running mate for the 2024 elections. And this indicates that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has a flair for women, that he knows that he can work with women, because for me, I've worked with him before as MCE, and now I'm a member of parliament. And so he gives you that opportunity. And so it's an opportunity for women to excel, women to show their talents. And Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang is not just any woman, but we know how she has excelled through wherever she's been, being the first female vice chancellor, she excelled, she became the education minister. She's been in so many spheres, and we realize that she excels wherever she goes. And so today we want to say thank you to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for giving us a mother to take care of us, to take care of Mother Ghana, because we say Mother Ghana. And so this is the time for us women. As you will realize, women, most of the time, we are marginalized. But for the biggest, one of the biggest parties in the country to nominate a woman as the vice presidential nominee, and we believe by 7 December and then going to 7 January 2025, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Professor Opoku Agyemang will be voted into power to serve the good people of Ghana, to deliver us from oppressors' rule. So for me today, women, we are excited because we have one representing us, and we are sure that we are all going to excel even as we follow and support her. And we want to give her the assurance that we as women, we are going to support her, we are going to campaign together, and we are going to make sure that all women come on board, because this is our time, and our time as women is now.
Thank you very much. That is Rita Odolesowa, the MP for Ladadi Kotopon, making the point for why she believes this is such a momentous time in the history of the National Democratic Congress, which for the second time is sending a female candidate as the running mate. This is the second time that this is happening, that any of the major political parties are putting on another member of parliament, a female MP, a female person as the running mate. Let me speak to another MP, Dr. Namomolate, for a reaction on this. Dr. Namomolate is also a female MP on the NDC side. This is a momentous day. You are here to support this outdooring. Do you think that Nana Jane has what it takes to partner John Dramani Mahama to get the NDC victory in 2024?
Thank you very much. I think I first of all want to thank God Almighty that today we are not just dreaming of the possibility of a woman becoming a leader, the vice president of Ghana, but it's becoming a reality by the grace of God. 7 December 2024, I know that Ghanaians are going to vote for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and this dream will be realized. It is not far-fetched now that we can talk about a woman attaining the highest position in Ghana when it comes to political leadership. As you can see, when it comes to men contesting positions, hardly do we ask whether the person is qualified. But when it comes to women, the first thing we ask is she capable? Is she qualified? Meanwhile, when you look at the credentials of her professor, you will see that professor is more than qualified to attain any position in the land of Ghana. And so I will say that in terms of her competency, it is not in question, or it's not questionable at all that Prof has the capability and what it takes. If she's headed huge institutions and she's also made remarkable achievements in the area of education and productivity in general, female leadership and all that.
I think the question is, can she partner John Mahama for victory? Because it's going to be a tough 2024 election. There are those who have said that she did not bring so much to the candidate in 2020. The NDC did not do so well in the central region. Do you think that 2024 will be any different story?
It will be very sad and unfortunate to use just central region to mark her. And when it comes to such, there are so many factors that come to play. The time she entered, but you see the effort she has put in ever since then. She has not rested. She's been going up and down. Granted that she didn't even know what grassroots politics is, but I can assure you, when you look at her history, you will realize that she's been there, she's been through. What I would want to say is that Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang has worked with so many men in so many offices, and it is not the first time. Partnering JM in 2020, it didn't just come that she was sitting and JM was working. They worked together as partners, and they've ever since been working. And so I don't think there's any question about that. If you look at their history, they've been together, they've known each other in working relationship for a very long time. And the way she manages to work with others, the way she manages to work with, other people outside politics, corporate world, education sector, it is the same thing. It is that you don't have to be friends to work with people. But in this particular situation, she's even had the opportunity to bond in terms of teamwork with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We pray that God can only strengthen them, and then we will also look up to the unity or unison with which they work, and we will also emulate it, and then together we shall have the first female Vice President of Ghana. Today is an exciting day, and we pray to God that it comes to pass.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Namo Molate. Dr. Namo Molate is MP for Krowo, and their concern is that they are really confident that John Dramani Mahama's partnership with Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang is going to lead to victory. And they are confident that today is going to be a start of that process to get John Dramani Mahama elected, and hopefully that the NDC can get the country its first female vice president. The number of supporters that are coming in here, I mean, you come in here and you see the crowd excited, really, really willing. Do you sense that your party's base is energized going into 2024 election to be able to deliver a victory?
Thank you very much, my good brother. You know, today has been a very excited moment ever when I started politics in somewhere 1996 as a poster boy. And today has been today's event has been the very most important one and an excited one for me to ever that I cannot even imagine. You see the people around, it's energizing people, it's telling people that we should come around and support the NDC. Why I am very happy is that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has retained a woman, that is Jenana Opoku Agyemang, to be the second time from 2020 as the running mate to today as the running mate again. When you go back to history, President Rawlings started with Ekowaka in 1992. And 1996, Ekowaka was out to 1996 election, and the Professor John Evans Atames took over as the running mate. And thereafter, Professor Mays became the flag bearer for the NDC, and the
between John Mahama.
It is very strong. You see, President Mahama is the only person who has retained his running mate the second time from 2020 and 2024. Since then, President Mahama has been consistent with the woman, that he knows the capacity. He's a woman of substance. He's a woman of education. He's a woman of everything. He has everything in his hand. You see, when he was in the Minister of Education, he did a lot. Look at this in the number of E-blocks that the woman brought up. The woman is number one. And I'm happy that our brothers in the central region, our sisters in the central region will know that, yes, their sister or their auntie is coming. And I thank President Mahama that he has recognized women to the highest level.
Thank you very much. So that is the view here from the University of Professional Studies, where any moment from now we expect the former president and NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama to come in. The running mate, Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang, has already been into this building. The former president, we understand, is on his way. He will come in and the program will commence, and ultimately the climax of today's event will be Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang delivering her remarks. And in terms of what exactly she brings to the ticket, there are so many people who have raised concerns about the permutations, how it works out, how Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang is able to partner John Dramani Mahama to deliver victory. Of course, these two candidates did so in 2020, and they were unable to secure victory. I've just caught on with the General Secretary of the NDC, and I'll just try and have a brief word with the General Secretary of the party. Briefly, okay. So that is the General Secretary who just says he just wants to take his seat. Fifi Kwete also coming in. That means that very shortly we expect the former president, John Dramani Mahama himself, together with the national chairman and the Council of Elders, to come in. You see here the Ahoy brothers. Mr. Ahoy, thank you very much. This is Joy News. I mean, okay. So the Ahoy brothers also not wanting to say anything. And of course, if you have been following the news, you know about the Ahoy brothers and a controversy they stoked recently when the Ahoy I just greeted was actually advising Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang that she can become president at any point in time, and so she should be prepared. I wanted to put that to him, and the controversy that it generated, he does not want to say any word. So I also get the NDC parliamentary candidate for Efutu. He ran in 2020, and he will be here in 2024 again. James Kofi Annan, right? So he is the NDC candidate for Efutu, and you're welcome. I mean, you are from the central region, and the central region is said to be such a key place in this situation. So, do you feel the chances of the NDC is really bright going into 2024?
Yeah, the chances of the NDC going into 2024 elections is very bright for so many reasons. It's not just because of the mismanagement of the economy by the MPP administration. It's not because we have a very bad vice president who keeps on lying, but it's also because the NDC is bringing on board the dignity that is required in the office of vice president. The Professor Opoku Agyemang brings decency and a certain credibility to the office of the vice president. And we believe that Ghanaians are watching. Ghanaians want less and less corruption, and this woman has demonstrated through the office that he has held in the past that is incorruptible, and therefore is likely to help Ghana to reduce the level of corruption, and that is why the Ghanaian population would vote for the NDC. Let us also know that the president, who is the flag bearer of the NDC now, has a track record, is the one who has increased infrastructure in this country. We know all the big edifices. I mean, let me just count a few in the central region. Yeah. The central region, John Mahama gave the central region 11 polyclinics within the 4 years space. The John Mahama administration gave central region 18 secondary schools through the community day secondary schools within the 4 years that he was in office as the president.
So you really believe that the central region will swing to NDC in this election? So that is the situation. And
the central region come December 2024.
Thank you very much, James Kofi Annan. He's the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Futu constituency. This is another member of parliament for Kintampo North, Honorable Kwame Kuma. You are here to support John Dramani Mahama outdoor the presidential candidate for the 2024 election. There are so many that have said that the running mate performance will be so crucial. We know what John Dramani, we know what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia added to the ticket of the NPP. There are those who have said that they do not get that, they do not sense that when it comes to Nana Opoku Agyemang. Is that the same sense you get from the NDC, that your candidate, your vice presidential candidate, is going to be strong enough to add something to your ticket?
Thank you for this opportunity. My thanks to the whole nation, and especially Kintampo North constituents who brought me here to be part of this program and whom I'm representing very well. The issue of our mother, Jane Nana, partner John Mama, what I would say is that what is their fear? What is their fear when it comes to our mother, Jane Nana, partnering John Mama? We believe in the NDC that we are for affirmative action. We believe in support of the affirmative action. If you look at our population figures, now Ghana, the women population is outweighing the male population. And it is time to have women representation in our body politics. We have been fighting in Parliament that we should approve the affirmative action bill. And if we can't walk the talk and we will just pass laws, then we should be deceiving ourselves as a nation. Look, Prof. Jane Nana comes with a lot of flesh. This is not her first time. We are repeating her because that is a woman of substance, a woman who has taught majority of the people who are condemning her now, a woman who has given them skills in communication for them to have their degrees in various fields. Are you getting me? They can't dispute it. But when it comes to politics, our late father ever mentioned it. Yes, that you see, it is only when you are in politics that people try to know what they don't even know about you. Are you getting me? We will not go by them. We are going by the nation. We want a gentle who will let people feel that they are Ghanaians. We want a woman who will not lie to the nation. We want a lady who is a mother to the nation. We want a mother to partner a father, a genuine father.
To build Ghana. Thank you very much.
Not a liar.
Thank you
not somebody who specializes in lies.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Kwame Kuma, MP for Kintampo North. The NDC Director for Legal, Edujiku Jotamaklo, also joins me. I was putting the same question to a number of people. There are those who have said that Professor Nana Jane did not add much to the NDC ticket in 2020. And so it's surprising that the NDC is returning here for 2024. Do you sense that Professor Nana Jane has what it takes to add up to John Dramani Mahama's victory in 2024 if that is to happen?
The people who have made that claim have not supported their proposition with any data. Now, in renominating Professor Jenana, John Dramani Mahama made the point that he had to rely on 2 polls, one local, one external. And the polls converge on the need to retain and renominate her. And overwhelmingly, the rank and file of our party have supported her. I was at the NEC meeting when that decision was taken, and it was overwhelming endorsement.
Unanimous?
Unanimous. In fact, there was no dissent. I was there, right there. I am not reporting about something. I am saying I was there. Unanimous. There was not even a single opposition to the renomination. And so that is the level of grassroots support, grassroots endorsement that she's coming to the ticket with. But that said, Ghanaians have become aware of the failures of the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia ticket and the disaster that ticket had become. Remember that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia became the poster boy for the MPP as far as, the poster boy as far as the economy is concerned. You should be asking yourself why today he is running away from the economy. Today, as we speak, we have never seen our economy get to this level before. It is a first. This economy today is a bankrupt economy. This economy today has the highest unemployment rate, the highest youth unemployment rate, the highest lending rate. In fact, arguably, the worst form of inflation that we've gotten post-1992 had happened under the watch and direction of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So this whole attempt by him to say that I am a driver's mate will not wash. That is why we are presenting no other person but Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang. She comes with credibility. That is what today Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia does not have. Credibility. A trustworthy woman. And it's our prayer to the Almighty God that just as Madam or Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang has always had the first female vice-chancellor of a private university. And we are praying to the Almighty God that with the support of God, she will become the first female vice president of the Republic of Ghana. And we are very confident about that. We are putting everything on the line. We are working strongly, and we are very confident that everything will happen.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you very much, Edujita Maklo. So you see the number of NDC members of parliament also coming in. I see Dr. Dominic Ayine. I see Dr. Sebastian Sandari. I see Collins Dauda. I see Haruna Idrisu, the former minority leader, who says they are really excited about this proposition. And so that is the specific situation. Honorable Haruna Idrisu, I mean, a really incredible day today where the NDC is adoring Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang. Does Professor have what it takes to partner John Mahama to victory in 2024?
Professor Jane Nana Opoku is more than qualified to be running mate, Vice President of Ghana to be, and potentially a President of Ghana to be. Once you get into the high office of Vice President, that is a contemplation reasonably. And she, in public service, she's acquitted and discharged herself creditably well as Vice Chancellor of the University, Minister for Education. Her footprints are all around the country. The failings of Free Senior High School reflects her judgment, because we are investing in numeracy and literacy and not in human capital. In the next 5-10 years, Ghanaians will appreciate the ways with which Nana Addo Dankwa have plunged public resources into supporting what arguably fails the means test. Professor Nana, today when she is unveiled, also will be a demonstration to the Ghanaian public that the NDC is a party of opportunity. Opportunity for women, that they can rise and shine, and that they can rise to lead this country. She will remain a model and an inspiration to many young girls who want to aspire into public service and serve our republic in very different or diverse capacities. Professor Jane Nana, she would be Vice President of our republic. As far as I'm concerned, the new patriotic party is gone. They are gone, they are gone, they are gone. You have seen the failings, you have seen the failings of the economy. You cannot borrow 600 billion against 120 billion and say you are doing well. They are not able to reach agreement with external bondholders and external creditors because they just were reckless and irresponsible. They describe 120 billion as colossal. So today, get me a word, maybe gargantuan. They borrowed in a gargantuan manner. What is it that we have to show? Ghanaians are reeling under the most severe, unprecedented economic hardships. The private sector is failing. Quietly, industries are folding up. Many private sector enterprises are largely disappointed in the performance of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Thank you very much, Haruna Idrisu, the former minority leader there, telling you about what he believes to be the specific qualities of the running mate of the NDC presidential candidate, Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang, for which reason so many people have converged here at the University of Professional Studies here in Accra to adore her. A number of key dignitaries, all who matter within the NDC today, are here. Almost every person within the 137 NDC MPs in Parliament are here. I've seen most of them here. I understand the minority leader, together with his leadership, are going to be here. There are more and more and more and more people who are coming in here, who are trying to have a conversation about the specific qualities of Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang, who is the vice presidential nominee of the party. She will become the vice presidential candidate by September or October when the party puts in their nomination officially with the Electoral Commission. But so far, one thing cuts across. Almost every NDC leader I've spoken about here, every MP I've spoken to, the leadership and other person I've spoken to are confident that Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang has what it takes to partner John Dramani Mahama to victory in 2024. She has faced severe criticism about how she partnered the former president in the 2020 election. There are those who have said that she did not bring so much into the ticket, and that in fact the NDC did not do so well in her own home region of Central Region. And so those are some of the questions people have raised. But I've put that to the MPs who say that they are not worried about that. They believe that she has what it takes, and that you cannot judge Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang solely by what she may have done or may not have done in the Central Region. So it's a packed house here, Elton and team, back in the studio, with so many persons expecting any moment from now that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, will drive in, and then a conversation will ensue. And then ultimately, the climax of today's event, the reason why everyone is here, the idea that Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang is that to deliver her inaugural address since she was appointed running mate to President John Dramani Mahama ahead of the 2024 election. So as you take it over to continue the analysis, I can tell you it's a packed house right from the entrance of the UPSA right into the traffic situation is getting worse by the minute because of the many people who have converged here for this very important ceremony in the calendar of the opposition NDC, who are seeking to wrestle power from the governing New Patriotic Party, who have themselves not nominated their own running mate, but we expect that by the end of this month or early May, the presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will do so and announce the person that he is going to partner into the 2024 election.
So this is your election headquarters, and we'll take you back to the UPSA campus, where the event itself is just about starting. But in the studio, we'll do our own analysis. We'll build up to the official outdooring ceremony. Evans Mensah is still here, head of our political desk, Winston Amwa, and of course Raymond Akwa. So Winston, we are in the Greater Accra region, outdooring of any kind is important. Perhaps the NDC is only taking a cue from that.
Well,
Outdooring of any kind.
you know that, look, the NDC in 2020 outdoored Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang. But this is what I get. And if what we are told is anything to go by as to she delivering a vision statement, I have my doubts because as vice president, what are you really going to do? You're going to be an assistant to the president. And so conventionally, we have said the vice president is the chairperson of the economic management team. Today, there's a debate as to what the vice president can do and cannot do when it comes to the economic management team. But of course, that debate is not what we're going to do today. But this is what I see. The NDC would want to create some buzz around Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang. One of the things the NDC didn't do well in 2020 was that they didn't really project her. And if we look at the NDC's campaign of 2008, for instance, there are Jerry John Rawlings, John Mahama, and Professor Mills. So they ran a 3-team campaign, okay? And then you had others. In fact, at the time, Alhaji Mohammed Muni, who had also wanted to be even a running mate, and even, Betty Modidusu. Everybody was on board campaigning. You did not see that in, for instance, 2020. You didn't see them campaigning that way. It's the reason, for instance, if you want to really assess the contribution of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang to the NDC's ticket, it's very difficult because of the kind of campaign they ran. She went round, but if you look at, for instance, in 2008, where John Mahama, mostly in the northern part of the country, campaigning, Professor Mills, I saw Jerry Rawlings campaigning in the Volta in other parts. So this is what I see. I see a party trying to change its strategy. I see a party wanting to probably go back to the 2008 strategy. I see a party wanting to create a buzz around her. And so if you want to create a buzz around her, what do? You start with outdooring her once again. That would not be all, because if she's outdoored today, if she makes a point, she makes a vision statement, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that on Friday. And then wherever she goes, whenever the NDC has a time to also, campaign, for instance, they would mention what Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang has said. Mind you, in 2016, I think all of us would agree that in 2016, the face of the NPP's campaign was Dr. Bawumia.
Right.
And they started in 2014. So then NDC is actually late to the party, but that was because they didn't, select their running mate early. The NPP selected Dr. Bawumia. He shaped conversations right from 2014, 2015, 2016. And part of the reason, for instance, you say that the economy became a major campaign area in 2016 was because of Dr. Bawumia, who had then been projected as the economic messiah, who was coming to turn the country's fortunes around economically. What would the NDC do? You would hear, the NDC is talking about a party that brings about inclusion. Everybody has a role to play. And so you would hear about Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang talking about her own background, the things she's done, what she stands for, and how she believes that people can have opportunities in this country, just as she had those opportunities. Would these things resonate with the people? What we are yet to see, I'm sure after today we'll get to realize.
Get to understand.
But look, whatever it is, we're having a program today. We're talking about Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang. But for her outdooring, I probably will be asleep by now.
Let me just allow Raymond with his initial comments. She was there in 2016. The claim is that she didn't do well in the central region. But the figures in 2020 will tell you that the NDC improved in the central region. Perhaps that may have explained the reason why Mahama went for her again for the 2024 general elections. But as they adore her today, what more should be done to project her? Just like Raymond said, that the influence of Bawumia in 2016. Can the NDC ride on this and say that we've got the ticket that will answer all the questions that people have been asking?
First and foremost, it will be difficult to find a Bawumia kind of person. Candidates come out. Their influence is also determined by the times. For example, the time that Bawumia was actually being projected as the economic messiah of this country, we had a serious problem with the economy. You remember, the energy and everything being in very terrible state.
Are we not in the same situation now?
Yes, but you are basically asking me to say that Prof does not have the economic competence to resolve the problems in this country. That is why times determine candidates. Bawumia, perhaps in 2012 or 2008, was not seen by anybody as a very extraordinary candidate. We all know that. It was when the times were determining that a candidate of his nature, and the president said it, I brought him on board because I knew there was a vacuum We needed somebody who proposed ideas to fixing the economic situation in the country. Now, what the NDC is seeking to do today, and there's a bit of that I've heard people say. When Prof was announced barely a month ago, it wasn't shocking to many people. It was really, oh, really? That's how you want to play it.
Something we're expecting anyway.
Yes. Some even thought that another person would have been a better fitting person to give hope because, as I mentioned, times. What are the times now? Serious economic problems, people lacking hope in politics in general, and people really being a bit problematic, thinking politics is becoming a problematic space. Is Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang the solution to any of these? Perhaps what she says today might tilt her in that direction. But we all know that when it comes to the economic problems of this country, we cannot solely put those at the doorstep of herself to fix. Do you get my point?
I get you.
Now, the other point, though, is that people felt after the announcement a month ago, the next bigger event was not much of one that projected her in a good light. The Ahoy commentary and the subsequent things that came out of that. So you needed a platform to relaunch her because the first time it didn't work out the way the NDC thought it should work out. A long-time conversation about her, then they'll jump in with this, oh, this is what she wants to do and that's what she wants to project. That problematic beginning ought to be fixed one way or the other by a grander event. That's why today's own.
It's happening.
See, preparation from 2 weeks ago, within the days, everybody is looking up to this day with the thinking that let's now project it properly. Let's now not make people, and we kept on saying that Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang's influence was very low, if not negligible, in the last election. And so you need to project her differently. So that's what they are trying to do now. A projection that will make her the solution. I argued that, oh, but she's been here before. Then the counter argument is that, wow, how many times did Bamia contest before the 2014 massive projections came in? He was not doing lectures after about 2009. He was not doing it in 2012. Something had to happen in government for somebody to now say, no, we need solutions for it to be. So today, I am expecting that she also mount the platform and purport to be the messiah to some of the problems that we've had in this country. Because it has worked in times past. And when there are massive problems in the state, people look for people who may be able to help out. Let's not get it wrong. You might be old, or you might be a candidate who's been repeated, but the ideas may sound fresh and start a new conversation with people. That is where I see the NDC projecting this. But will they work?
Yeah, but
all right, those are the issues. But I mean, I'll let you hold them there because we would have a lot more time to discuss these matters. There are key issues. I mean, what are the facts and data behind here? The advantages and the disadvantages. What are the selling points? We've got everything worked out for you. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll zoom into the candidature of Nana Opoku Agyemang and the fact.
You're still live here on your election headquarters, and we are continuing our coverage of the formal outdooring of Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang, who is the running mate of the NDC. He's going to be the vice presidential candidate for John Dramani Mahama. And I'm taking over now from Elton Brobe, who is just done now with polls. This is obviously a moment big for the NDC. We'll be raising questions about why she had to be outdoored again. Remember the last time in 2020, we were back here talking about her being outdoored for the very first time. That time, it was a big deal. We did a whole show about it. We'll go back to the UPSA, where she's going to be outdoored pretty shortly, where we understand that former President John Dramani Mahama has just arrived. So we're expecting this to get underway pretty shortly, and we'll bring everything to you with some analysis also. So stay with us. My colleagues are still with me, Winston Amwa and Raymond Aqua. Before we go back to the UPSA, we're analyzing a bit about Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang and what she really brings to the ticket. Well, the only prism within which we can look at her is the last elections in 2020, because it offers you the best basis for analyzing how important she is to the ticket. And elections are about votes. The primary reason why you want a candidate to partner you in any elections is so that the partner can help you win votes. In our electoral history, it is strewn with examples of this. This is the reason why most candidates from the north will pick somebody from the south. If they come from the south, we pick somebody from the north. And we've seen that the NDC really favors one particular region when it comes to their running mates. It is the central region. in the Fourth Republic, they have appointed 3 running mates from the central region. There must be a reason why that is. Anybody has tried to figure that out? Because it shouldn't be a coincidence that they keep going back to the same region. The only person who broke that trend is John Mahama himself, right? Mills came from Central Region, and Mr. Arthur came from the Central Region, and right after that, General Opoku Agyemang came from the Central Region. Why?
So in fact, it's 4 because Mills was running mate. Konken Senaka of the Progressive Alliance.
That's true.
Yes, and 1992 also from the Central Region. Mills came, Mr. Arthur came, and then, Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang.
But why? Why the Central Region for the NDC?
Well, I mean, it's a swing constituency. It's a swing region.
And also, in all fairness,
it works for them.
The people of the Central Region have played very, very central roles in our politics for a very long time. You cannot truly
accept that,
dismiss that.
Accept that.
They have been so instrumental right from independence, from the Fanti Confederacy period. Indeed, look at our nationals, the people who had formed forebears who actually fought independence. It's always been around that same area, around the coast from the central, western, and these other areas. So you cannot really do the mainstream politics. Then what evolved as NDC also had consistently had stalwarts from the central region in there. So it's very difficult to pick them out of any conversation of this sort. I do not believe there is any pure logic or voting trend reason why you'd want to do so.
So why?
I believe that it's a middle level kind of this way. First and foremost, the NDC would have thought that choosing somebody from the Ashanti region where the MPP had his opponent and biggest one is important. But would that inure to the benefit of the party beyond? Choosing people from the central region has not always had electoral fortunes for the NDC. You know that.
In fact, the evidence shows. The evidence shows that it has a negative effect.
So it has not always had that. So it will be beyond political or.
Let's just illustrate that point. I mean, and I know Winston is dying to say something, so we'll come to Winston. But the point I'm making, I'll come to you, Winston. The point I'm making is exactly this. So we go back to Mills, right? First person to come. Well, Akar was there before, but we don't have him in the picture. But Mills was the main one because Mills was on the ticket of the NDC. His performance in 1996, as you look at the party's performance in the central region, this is the central region we are focusing on now. They had 55% there, so they won that. They won that, and the MPP had 44%. So you say, well, that obviously, if you're crediting him for it, then he brought that to the ticket.
But that's a Rollins factor more than...
Exactly, we know that. But I'm saying that if you don't want to credit him, you say, well, Mills was central region, so he brought something to the ticket. They won it there. But let's come to 2020. It didn't play out. And Rollins was out of the picture.
Remember the conversation at the time? It was not just as will feel, yeah. It was as the Papa will feel, yeah.
True. So that point clearly shows, and I'll just to illustrate the point, that the central region, the decision to keep going back to the central region, politically, in terms of electoral votes, doesn't really give us any evidence to say that is a reason. Because 2000, it didn't play. Again, 2004, again, 38%. Very poor. For a man who comes from there, it didn't bring anything.
In fact, the lowest in the history of the NDC.
Exactly. And a man who is coming from the Ashanti region was dominating. Right? At this time, John Ajekum Kufuor had a running mate who was from the northern region. Right? We could see what he was performing there. But we're focused on the central region. And then you come to the 2000s, where he then becomes the main face. Even there, it wasn't that overwhelming performance, right? But he climbed a bit to, in the runoff to 53%. So you say the central region showed up for him. They helped him there. And then you come to the next guy from the NDC who running mate again from the central region, who in 2012 came in at 52.50%. Would we say that because necessarily he's from the central region, that's the reason why he got 52.50%?
Not necessarily.
I mean, there are many, many factors, right? But you could say it's one of the reasons, of course, the identity politics is important.
Yeah.
And I come from the central region, so they may vote for him. But then what would you say about 2016? He takes them from 52.50 to 53.4%. That dip is significant, right? But I have said that if you put it with the national context, the big picture, there was a tsunami that year, and so maybe that was being a factor. And then Jane begins to help them climb back up. So the first point, Raymond, and Winston can come in at this point, is that this election didn't show, at least for four elections, this 2020, 2024, 2016, and even 2020 to some extent, we haven't seen the votes as much as the NDC want us to believe is a reason why they keep going there and they turn into it.
You see, the difficulty with the central region analysis we're about to do is that unlike the NPP strategy, where you pitch camp, Raymond, at one place.
That's true.
So you're campaigning. So the NPP strategy of Dr. Bawumia is that he's in the northern part of the country.
Yeah.
That's where he does his campaign. His wife will join him there to campaign. When Aliyu Mahama was alive, he would join Bawumia to campaign in the north. What the NDC does, apart from 2008, is that they go around, okay? They go around the whole country. Even in 2008, where they had, this three-pronged strategy, they were going around the country. So when it happens like that, it'll be very difficult for you to say what is happening. But this is where you have to actually then unpack the data and go into the specifics. Let me just say something. You would have seen that any time the central region votes for a candidate a party, that's the party that wins the election.
With the exception of the last election.
Yeah.
The last election.
2020.
2020.
NDC won. Did
No,
NDC won the central region.
The presidential votes, yeah.
The presidential.
It's a greater
I'm talking about parliament,
Yes.
parliamentary.
It's a greater Accra.
And that's the first time we've seen that, though, where one party wins parliament.
Yes, it's a greater Accra, actually, that for the first time,
It didn't
votes
go
for
with
a
the
party,
national trend.
and the party didn't win the election. But we had actually predicted that could happen in 2020. So the central region votes for whichever political party is going to win the election. And so you probably may say, okay, so if that is the case, why do I take people from there? Why is it the NDC's performance of 2020 so significant? The NDC in 2020 reduced the margin of loss in 2016 from about 95,000 to 98,000. To 78,000, I beg your pardon. From 95,000 margin of loss or difference in 2016 to 78,000 in 2020. While that did not translate into victory for the NDC in the central region and victory nationally, that indeed gave the NDC the sort of confidence that they could actually come back in 2024 and make an impact. And so, if you look at the central region, I always would say that is a region that normally votes for this thing. I'm waiting for 2024 to see if it will change. But then now, we can get into the specifics. We can get into what Nana Jane may have brought on board, what she didn't bring on board.
Let's do that. I know that we disagree on this. So we've always been saying...
Don't be too sure. Continue.
No, of course. I mean, then this is the part that is interesting, and we disagree on this.
Yeah.
So why Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang? John Mahama has decided to retain her. And many people criticize it. So really, what is she bringing? Again, the reason why it became even more pronounced, people were comparing what Dr. Bawumia had done in the northern part of the country in terms of votes and his ability to flip, for example, the northeast region that used to be heavily green, flip it to blue over a period. They were comparing him to Jane Opoku Agyemang. And we're going back to central region. I say, Jane Opoku Agyemang, remember where JM was in 2016? He was in the abyss in 2016. Historic low votes. In the Fourth Republic, no candidate has secured that lower vote in the particular elections before. Almost 1 million votes he lost in that election. So he was in a pit. In fact, many of us thought JM was done after 2016. He was down and out. He was wiped out, right? And then you come to 2020, he puts Jane Opoku Agyemang on a ticket. In the central region, he climbs back to 45%. They lose the presidential, but they win the parliamentary. Now, my argument is, this graph here tells you momentum. You look at this, you see one thing, momentum. They are climbing back up from 2016. Many will argue that Jane brought momentum in the central region for the NDC. And why do you change a winning formula? Whether you credit her for 45% or not, they got 45.90%, better than they did in 2016, the year before, where JM was, in many people's estimation, down and out. So you keep her on the ticket because you're hoping that this momentum will continue. So, for me, the most important thing she brings to the ticket is that momentum. And we're talking about this. This is a presidential. And the point I was making earlier about the what we saw in the parliamentary, right? They lost in 2016. They won parliamentary in 2020, right?
How is that, in all fairness?
According to how is that attributable to her?
A direct or even indirect connection.
Well,
let's take that, for example, let's take some of the constituencies, for example, where she is supposed to be from, Commander Edina Eguafu Abraham. Can anybody reasonably say that it was the magic of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang that got the NDC to win the seat?
No, of course
because
not.
The NDC, apart from one or two instances, have always won the seat anyway.
Of course not.
And her performance there, even if you are taking the presidential side, the presidential votes, and I'm actually looking at the data from that end, it will be very shocking for anybody.
In KEEA.
Yeah, the KEEA part. So let's look at 2020. In 2020, John Dramani Mahama did 42.65%, won the KEA, and Nanado did 35.46%. In 2016...
No, in 2020.
Yes, in 2020.
JM did what?
42.65.
And
then Nanado 35.
So JM won KEA.
Yes.
Yes. So who do you credit that?
No. I'm not saying that that's wrong. Take your time. I'm talking about what really happened there. If we are comparing the votes in the area, in 2020, John Mahama did 51.5%.
KEA.
Yeah, in KEA, and another 44.4%.
Yeah.
That's presidential.
Yeah. And
now, in 2016, John Mahama did 42.65.
So he did better in 2020
yes.
when Jane was on the ticket.
But there was
you would have to find
yes, that's what the election. Who are 20%? Listen,
okay.
Who are 20% in the year 2016? I hope you get the point.
So what is the Papa Kwesi factor?
No, because you have 20%, pulling 20% of the votes.
Yeah.
Now the next year, it's not in the election, so the 20% is shared between the MPP and the NDC.
Oh, for KEA?
Yes,
yeah,
for
that's
KEA.
A strong factor, yeah.
No, I'm coming to some of these things because it's important we break it down to the constituencies. If you want to know the impact of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang, it should be in the very constituencies it's coming from. And I'm saying it is minimal. Let's look at it over the period.
But let's
NDC.
Let me make one
NDC,
comment on the first point.
You are just taking it from the top. I want to go to the trend.
No problem.
Yes.
Just on that argument. Your suggestion is, in 2020, because Indum wasn't in the race.
Yes.
She got more votes.
So,
she did more votes.
Everybody got more votes
Everybody
because
more
there was
votes.
20 more percentage to share.
No problem.
That's my point.
And you say that you cannot attribute the increase in votes for JM in 2020 to Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang.
I'm making a point here that
I just want to drill down
an impact was minimal. Let me show you why.
But she had an impact.
Even if she did, it was minimal. In 1996, in KEA, the NDC had 61.4%. In 2000, it was 51.8%. Now, in the year 2004, where they lost the seat, they had 41%. That's the worst they've had within the period. Now, in the year 2008, they had 53%. And in the year 2012, they had 55%. If you take the 2016, where they had a 42.7%, it was the second lowest. Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang, apart from the two periods I mentioned, the year 2004 and 2016, gave the NDC the lowest vote. With this 51% we are talking about.
Yeah, but you're comparing it. Why are you not comparing it to the 2016?
Yeah,
I'm saying that I'm saying that 2016, let's even pretend that it was not Papa Kwesi Ndom's impact that made any point there. Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang is not one of the best flying running mates or candidates from the central region for the NDC. That's the point I'm trying to make in this case.
Okay,
and the impact, and let's not get it wrong, Mills was not from the commander enough.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, Papa, the late Emisata was also not from. I'm talking about a constituency that they say she is from.
Yeah,
and
but they won in that constituency.
I'm talking about the impact.
And they performed better. But bottom line, they performed better in 2020 compared when she was on the ticket and from the constituency to 2016 when she wasn't there.
But hold on, Evans. We cannot forget.
Yeah.
You see, the point is that the problem is that because of the strategy the NDC adopted, you now would have to break the data down.
Yes.
Ordinarily, I mean, if anybody says she is the one to be credited, I wouldn't have a problem. I say go ahead and credit her. But because you're talking, this, and because we're having a difficulty, now we have to disaggregate the data.
Yeah, that's why we're taking a constituency where she is from.
And that's why we're doing that.
Yeah.
You see?
And the data shows they won there.
No, but hold on a second. Now we are going to engage in some qualitative analysis. Hold on a second. It's still, but watch this. Papa Kwesindum gets 20% in 2016. By 2020, Papa Kwesindum is not contesting. By 2020, Papa Kwesindum is also not contesting because his business is struggling under the government of NPP led by Nana Akufo-Addo. Papa Kwesindum is such a big person in KEEA. In fact, the PPP, which Papa Kwesindum founded, check their parliamentary results in KEEA over the period. You will realize that Sterling at sometimes even beat the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo. So that's a very dominant party in there. So once Papa Kwesindum leaves, and
there'll be more votes to go around.
More votes will go around.
Yeah.
But by 2016, Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang was Minister of Education and also was somebody who was, at the time, nurturing the constituency. You go and find out. At the time, she used to go around. When she was being appointed, you had to talk about the fact that she had actually been helping market women and all of that in the KEEA area and all of that. This is the point. I make the point that you cannot, see, 2020.
You cannot do what?
You cannot ascribe the performance of the NDC in the central wholly to Professor Nana Opoku Agyemang.
I agree with that. But the point I'm making is that
the chunk of it.
She is a significant factor in that.
Well,
you don't disagree with that.
I disagree. Let's prove it.
But the proof is the proof.
No, the proof.
You've thrown in a factor of
the proof.
Dr. Pakwesi Indo.
Hold on. Let me make that
right, which is a fair point.
Let me get up and come.
Yeah, please.
Let me show you something. Circle this for me.
That 45.
Circle the 45. Okay. This is 45. This is what? 52. Okay. This is what? 50.
Yeah.
Watch this trend. In 2008, what did the NDC get there? 50. What did the NDC get in 2012? 52.
Yeah.
Then they reduced. And they have improved.
Yeah. You want to just step back.
Okay. So you say
the 8-year period.
They have done well.
Yes.
Because in 2000 and
considering where they were coming from 2012, 2004.
Yes.
No, you want to go back to 2000.
So from 2000 to 2004. But watch this critically. In 2004, for instance, the focus of the NPP in the central region was very huge. In fact, Raymond, if you remember, in 2004, Hannah Tete did not even contest the Ewutu seat, Ewutu Senya West seat. Okay? Because at the time, the wind of change and the dominance of a lot of the key factors of the NPP within the central region, you had, what's this lady's name? Christina Checha and, her likes, very dominant in there. You can see here that while this performance may be significant, Papa Kwesindum had 1.4 in 2012.
Yeah.
By 2016, he had 2.7. Okay? Now, who took his 2.7 that he had when he decided not to contest again?
In 2020.
Yes, in 2016, he had, 2.7.
Yes.
Who took over his 2.7 when he decided not to contest?
What's your answer to that?
Maybe the NDC took it.
Yes.
But the NDC, so listen.
So your point is...
I am saying that the role of the Indum factor, and also because...
you cannot discount the
Yes, you cannot discount it. And that's why
but you
I am saying...
in politics, there are no absolutes.
Yeah, there's no absolute.
Yes.
I am saying it is not significant.
Her contribution electorally.
Yes, it's not significant in the central region. I wouldn't take away her contribution, but I would say it is not significant. See,
and you come to that conclusion
because of what I've just told you.
Because of Indum.
Because
of the fact that Indum wasn't there and there was votes to play around. And she got some of that votes too.
You see. Barrister, if I may come in, did you hear the NDC say that Prof is the one leading our central regional campaign? Did you hear that? I never heard a single time.
This time?
In the last election.
But must they say that?
They do.
Must they say that?
They tell us who is the fulcrum of their campaign. Sometimes they even will pull out an old person or even a regional chairman.
But I don't recall any time where running mate has been projected as somebody leading the campaign in a particular region where he or she hails from.
It is consistently the case. No, it's not automatic. Sometimes they even give the impression that, the person should be focused elsewhere and we'll just spread out. Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang was not given the role of making sure that she pulls in the central regional vote. It's pretty clear. Because it would have been difficult to put that mantle on her.
I remember very well in 2020, the night she was outdoors, just like this one.
Yeah.
That's the first time. We did a show called The Ticket, solving the Jane and John puzzle, if you remember. And one of the things we did for that show was to send our reporters into the region to try and engage how people were reacting to the fact that first woman, but from the central region. And I remember very clearly, at that time, she's been nursing, and you make the point, she's been nursing the constituency and trying to woo market women and make that sort of constituency within the constituency of I'm talking about the original constituency, not the KE constituency, but that market women, make that constituency her trump card. That is the core base to which she can go to sort of galvanize votes. And she's gone there and addressed them. And we had a video of them campaigning in the region, in the markets, prior to the outdooring, after she was nominated, campaigning in a region, preaching and selling ideas to the market women and trying to get them to sort of warm up to her. And I remember we playing a sound of the market women cheering her. My point to you is, you said when we talking about campaigning, she had done some campaign in that constituency. Prior to the 2020 elections, she's done some. She's been there.
No, we're not taking that away. It's not campaigning. No, my point is,
what was it?
The lead,
she went there, she
figure who leads it, and it's important. Do you know why?
But they will be crossing over pretty shortly to the UPSA. Where
the figures are the people that are attracting people from all corners. But it's not unfair to state out there because, in all fairness, where did Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang come from as a politician?
From the central region.
No. From the University of Cape Coast.
Yeah, of course. And the University of Cape Coast is where?
Yeah, but how many of the distinguished academics have rolled over into politics? And let's not get it wrong. She became a minister before she became active in politics.
Yeah.
As of the time they were doing what they call a debate, many people here could not have even perceived that she was partisan in the first place.
But definitely, the NDC knew something we didn't know at the time.
Yes, but did you ever hear that Prof was actually courting people within that particular
but I mean, as somebody who went to the University of Cape Coast,
he knew.
Yes,
and I knew while on campus that she was, a sympathizer of the NDC. For those who